Here we are, and welcome to an exciting edition of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, because, Becky, I'm going to start with some amazing news. This is especially for all the Montrealers. I know we have a lot of Montrealers that listen to the show. So, my lifelong musical partner, Howie, who I know you know very well, and I have been working on a musical project. We did one last year. We're doing another one this year, where we are taking old songs from when we were in college that have never been released digitally. And we've spent months working on them, reworking them, adding all the things that we've always wanted to put in them, and the way they've developed live and all of that. And we have released, in honor of Punxsutawney Phil extending winter by 6 weeks, probably what I think is maybe my favorite song that we have, and it is called Snow Pants. And at the end of this episode, we will have a recording of Snow Pants, a new recording. But as
I'm so excited. That's it's a real crowd pleaser, Snow Pants, because when you play it live, there's a whole sing-along portion. It's great.
And then this version has like the extended sing-along version. So even if you heard it 25 years ago, this is a new version. And what's super special about this version, well, first of all, I'm putting it at the end of the episode, so please, everybody, after you've heard it at the end of the episode for free, go listen to it on Spotify or YouTube or Amazon, or even buy it, whatever, just so you know you're supporting the band. But the video, which will come out, features home videos of Lily and me playing in the snow. But anyways, I wanted to just kick off and say,
so if you were to say someone is starring, like if they were saying, oh, Snow Pants music video featuring, who would you would say that was Lily?
Mostly
Lily.
It's Super 8. It's Super 8 film.
But not Becky, but yet
there was an aesthetic.
Me to promote your song, and yet I don't. It's fine. This is what we do for our siblings when we love them. This is what we do for our siblings when we love them.
There was an aesthetic. Okay, there was an aesthetic, and you were born
on top of everything, I'm being accused of not knowing the aesthetic for the moment. Okay, well, you know what?
After the Super 8 camera, we had one of those filter VHSs. Anyways, Snow Pants is
newsroom cameras.
So Snow Pants is back for the first time ever released on digital, and I can't wait for people to hear it. I'm so proud of it. I play like a little bit of drums. Howie plays like 100 instruments on this, and I still remember the day we sat in Howie's house in Montreal in his apartment during college, and we wrote it. So, anyways, I'm really proud to have that out there. Even if you're not in the video. Okay, speaking of snow, we also just came back from Sundance, and we didn't really talk about the whole experience for everybody. I know people saw the Found Snacks, but we didn't get into as much of the movies. But now I've actually seen more of the movies because I watched a few more through their digital platform. So I feel like we got to do like our Sundance experience review.
Listen, I don't feel like we're going to be the ones to break this story, so it's fine. So I'm willing to share. But Park City is just magical. It is a beautiful, magical place.
It is officially my favorite place to visit in the world right now.
For sure in the U.S. If there's like a U.S. destination I'm most excited about, it really is Park City.
In the U.S. That's definitely my U.S. destination. The thing is this. For those Montrealers, you'll know what I'm talking about. Imagine if one street in Saint Jovite had the Olympics come to it. Because that's a little bit what the logistical side of this is like. It's a beautiful ski town. And then for Sundance, like 1 million people, I don't know if it's 1 million, but thousands of people come.
It's
very hard to find an Uber.
It's a real sort of survival of the fittest on mainstream during Sundance, like in terms of sheltering and finding food.
And if you don't have drippy boots, you're dead. We got to start with also the shout out to our friend, our mentor, the woman who, if not for her, we probably would have frozen and slipped to our death and just not have even had the guts to make the trip. But Liz Nord, out of NYU, formerly Sundance, a filmmaker, she not only gave us her time, but she also wrote like the most incredible guide for
pack extra socks
survival. And I remember Lily reading the guide being like, extra socks. I'm like, you need the socks.
You need the socks.
Because if you have boots that are good enough, your feet are going to sweat.
Yeah. And there's a lot of events where you take your shoes off, just as sidebar. You're taking your shoes off a lot for the winter.
Among them for the Jews. We'll get to the movies, but people want to know about the scene. There was the most amazing thing called the Shabbat Lounge, put on by Tamar Simon and the Chabad out there. And I know there's other folks, but that's who I remember right now. And I know, and it was a beautiful little community of Jewish filmmakers, all different types, different views, all got together for Shabbat and had a place that they could go. It was almost like our fraternity house in a place where it's impossible to get into anything. This was a place that we could go for Jews and for allies. It wasn't only for Jews. You didn't have to show your, identity card or your family tree. It was a beautiful, wonderful thing that we got to go to there. So that was really cool. We ate.
What?
We ate there.
Oh, yeah, at the Shabbat Lounge. Yeah, I'm in. Come on, it's a Jewish event. Of course they're going to.
The Shabbat Lounge, no, not just the Shabbat Lounge. There was so much food at the Shabbat Lounge. Yeah, I ate a whole plate of salmon on Friday night, sitting at the table with all these wonderful people. I ate a whole plate of salmon. And then they're like, all right, the salmon course is done. Now we're bringing up the meat.
I know. It was Rosh Hashanah dinner. It was a very serious meal.
Well, I want to talk about the other places we ate in Park City as well.
Oh my God. I still dream of that hot cake. It's not really a pancake. It's more of a hot cake. Or what would you call it? Like a skillet pancake?
Yeah. So Liz Nord took us to five seeds.
The 5 seeds skillet hot pancake thing.
Oh my God.
I think we posted multiple pictures.
Yeah. Pancakes for the table. We started the trip with pancakes for the table, which was great at 5 seeds.
Ended the trip with pancakes for the table.
It was a perfect way to do it. I think I got to go there every time I go there.
I would say that was a real highlight, was 5 seeds. My biggest fear, as you know, when traveling is that I won't be able to get a good coffee. And so when in doubt, 5 seeds has you covered. I would say for me though, the biggest expense of going to Sundance, because it's not a cheap event to travel to, but my biggest expense in Sundance is all of the hats and gloves and just stuff I left scattered around the city. It seemed to be that I was
traveling with mom.
I was spending so much mental energy either keeping warm or focusing on whatever our next thing was, that it was like my brain had no space to remember my own stuff. And there's just a trail of all my things somewhere down Main Street.
We even bought you new stuff that you lost.
Me new stuff that I then lost. Yeah.
And then I lent you my hat, and like a big brother, I was on you every 2 minutes. Where's my hat?
Relentless. It wasn't worth it. So I would say that's a thing. I don't know. I feel like if I go back next year, I'm going to have to do the thing I do with my children where I put the little clips in their sleeves that clip onto their gloves. And I'm just going to have to air tag more of my stuff. Sew some air tags into the linings.
The best will be if you do those and then they start to run out of battery and you're sitting in a screening or a meeting and you just start going beep, 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 beep. Have you had that yet where your air tags start to run out of battery? Yes. It's like a smoke alarm. It'll make you crazy because you have no idea which one isn't working.
No, that's terrible.
Oh, yeah. And we have one around our dog. Can you imagine if you're a dog and it beeps, just starts beeping? It's a real...
You're home alone all day?
Yeah, it's a real pain.
Well, they say not to use it for live creatures, humans or animals, but whatever.
So I'm winding up to something very important here. Let's see, we had amazing Thai food at Bangkok Thai. We had, of course, incredible drinks at Alpine Distillery. So we had great I would say, Park City is a fancy, nice place. But Becky, I think you have a different opinion on where the best food.
I do.
And let me where the best food is.
Can I tell you, I've been thinking about this a lot. The first is that everything in Park City is very expensive. Like around Sundance. It's insane. They just inflate the prices 25%.
In fact, one very nice person at one of the places, I won't say which one, literally told us what the price difference is on the drink that we ordered. And it was
on
absurd.
Sundance versus not Sundance week. And so, you're paying these pretty outrageous prices, and therefore you expect some pretty outrageous meals. And I would say, we ate well, but for the prices, it's not always calibrated. Except for one place. One place I felt like delivered on its promise. And that would be none other.
Exceeded its promise. Found money.
Exceeded. That was it. It exceeded its promise.
Remember, we walked into this place, and the first thing Becky says to me, she looks at me and she goes, "Shy, this smells like chicken wings. I'm already getting hard."
Yeah. I was like, I'm not eating anything here. I'm just going to sit at the barman and get a little drunk. I'll warm up. I'm in a terrible mood. And I have to tell you, the Cobb salad at Flanagan's is so fantastic. Granted, I was a few Manhattans in, but it was so satisfying, surprisingly fresh for a salad at a bar in the dead of winter. Bountiful. Could only describe this as a bountiful salad. Plentiful. My plate was overflowing. And I'm thinking, wow, that was a surprisingly satisfying Cobb salad. Shy, you had the potato soup?
Oh,
what
yeah.
did you have?
I ordered, it was cold. I ordered a potato leek soup, and
you really wanted that soup. Your conversation with the bartender, getting him to recommend the potato soup, and the guy's like, "Hey man, if you want the potato soup, just get the potato soup." But he
recommended a lot of other things, and I was like, "I'm feeling potato leek soup. Come on, let's do it." And so the other thing I did, now imagine you're ordering this in an Irish pub that smells like chicken wings, and I'm like,
it smells like buffalo sauce, like very specifically that sour buffalo sauce smell.
And I say, sure, I'll have the black and dahi tuna on crostini without the avocado.
Weird thing to order at a pub.
Outstanding. The best thing I ate in Park City, and it's a nice city with beautiful food.
No, the best thing we ate, hands down.
Other than the pancake.
No, were the mini chocolate chip cookie ice cream sandwiches at Flanagan's. I swear to God, those must have been homemade, because the caliber of that vanilla ice cream was exceptional.
So it topped it off. And you know me, once we're ordering, I got to get stuff for the table. I asked all the people we were with, I'm like, "Oh, you want dessert?" And they're like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "All right, ice cream sandwiches for everyone."
No, I ordered the ice cream sandwiches. Thank you very much. Do not take credit for my order.
Wait, what was the weird thing I ordered?
The strawberries and chocolate. So I ordered a very romantic dessert. So dine on strawberries and chocolate. Champagne for the table.
So we did that. And so for all the fancy stuff and great stuff.
But I just want to say, if you've noticed a theme here, one thing we're not talking about are the movies. Because if there's one thing that's harder to do than find a place to get into or food, it's going to see a movie at Sundance.
That is true.
Get online tickets. Just get online tickets.
Yeah, go for the experience. It was the people are amazing from a business standpoint as filmmakers. Oh my God, it was so fascinating. We learned so much. But seeing movies really, really, really hard. So now let's review some movies. So the first movie we got tickets to, thanks to the amazing producer Michael Solomon, we got to see Things That You Kill, which, again, I'm setting you up here for something that it is a hard watch, but it is masterful. And Ali Reza won, the director, Ali Reza, he won Best Director for a reason. It's in Turkish, so I watched a movie entirely in Turkish. Although really, you know what, there was a long time ago where I would say I don't watch non-English language movies. I watch non-English language stuff all the time. In fact, sometimes it's refreshingly much better than everything else. I think I don't watch a lot of French things, but everywhere else is great. So this is a Lynchian slow burn about revenge and family. at the end of the movie, I mean, characters change actors who are playing them in the middle of the movie without fully it being explained. Like Becky and I looked at each other once and we're like, they just changed actors for this character? Very Lynchian. And director, he gave a beautiful speech before the show about David Lynch and the importance of David Lynch. And I respect Lynch, but the only movie of his that I would say like I love is Lost Highway. And it was really cool because that ended up being, I mean, I looked like a real good film snob because was it either at the end of the movie or after the movie that I said to you, I was like, oh.
You looked at me, you're like, Lost Highway. And then that was his reference afterwards. He's like, so was really inspired by Lost Highway.
So Ali Reza Khatami. So what made it better, and film Q&As, panels after a show, they can be, and we mentioned this about Dead Lover last week. This was the best. Yeah. This is another one that was like an amazing film Q&A. The director it wasn't like people coming out and just stroking each other and complimenting each other.
No, he came out and the whole cast came out, but he came out and he really gave a lot of, he didn't necessarily answer questions about the film because it is a very complicated film and he is putting that work on the audience, but it was more that he explained and gave depth to why make it so complex, why make it so difficult.
And how aware he was. And
how aware he is. And I think knowing that the director has such a strong intention behind that really just makes you respect the work more and made me more interested in seeing it again one day, because knowing that every single decision had a lot of thought put into it, you kind of want to uncover this puzzle that he's set out for you.
Yeah, I think it's a thing of delivering on its promise, because there are some auteur directors that this approach could be self-indulgent. But if anything, especially after hearing Ali Reza Khatami speak, was vulnerable and intentional, and like he delivered on the promise. And right, we talk about that all the time. Did you deliver on the promise of what you were say you were going to make, even if it has surprises, which this film does? So that one is, and it was a great film festival experience because I'm not sure you could convince me to sit down and watch a very long, hard to watch movie in another language. I mean, you could, but especially, if I heard it was awesome, but being in the group of people who were there to experience that, it was wild. And again, we want to thank the great producer, Michael Solomon, who brought us there, who's also a Montrealer. So we got to talk about Montreal for a lot. Okay.
Which is always
Dead Lover. We saw Dead Lover, which this is my mission to get the Dead Lover team on this podcast. We talked about it last week, just off the wall. But then after the festival back, I watched a couple more.
Yeah, you were smart. You got some digital.
And the films that I saw there, I think are, I wouldn't say easier to recommend, but they're easier to recommend in the sense that they're a little bit more straightforward in terms of the movie experience, right? There's a plot with characters that you follow in a, I would say, somewhat more, even though they have quirks and these are, and the first one I want to talk about is called Didn't Die. And Didn't Die is with Kieran Deal, who is a comedian that I follow and that I've gone to see live, and I hope people continue to go see. And it was directed by Mira Minone. And it's kind of built more as a dark comedy because it's about a podcaster doing their podcast in the wake of the apocalypse. But there's more. It's actually about a podcaster and her relationship with her siblings and how they survive the apocalypse. And while there are funny parts, it's actually one of the most beautiful meditations on family and grief I have ever seen. And it is rich with Indian culture because this family just happens to be Indian. They survived. This is the family that we're focused on. And so you get all these really beautiful details, specificity, which we love on this show. Kieran Deol, again, hilarious, brilliant comedian.
Cool. I can't wait to see it.
Incredible actor.
Well, there's another opportunity to see it.
Yeah, people should see that movie, Didn't Die. Really, really, really special and a short, tight, 82 minutes. And, like if I cried in movies, I would have cried, but not in a, this is depressing way, in a like, Ooh, life is kind of complicated and beautiful and real emotions. Okay. Then the other one, which was one of the big hyped movies of Sundance I saw, which was called Bubble and Squeak.
Oh yeah, that was one of the big ones, the cabbage movie.
Starring Himesh Patel, who was in Yesterday, the Beatles movie, and Sarah Goldberg, who, Becky, I know you're a massive fan
Big
of.
fan of.
And obviously it's not exactly about you and Vlad, but it is a lot.
But it's not
feels
about
like
it?
it's almost like a Wes Anderson-esque, but not overly stylized, but just has that kind of quirky absurdness about it, and like close-ups of characters through like angles as they're thinking. But they play a couple who go on their honeymoon to some off the beaten path, I guess, Eastern European country, because they want to go somewhere different rather than wherever people traditionally go. For whatever reason, which I won't reveal, cabbages have been banned in this country because of some past trauma. And they get accused of smuggling cabbages. And then they have to go on the run. And
They get accused of smuggling cabbages.
Well, I'm not going to, I don't want to reveal.
Okay.
But it has a incredible, like there's a stretch in the middle where Dave Franco's in the movie, and he is hilarious. But what the movie is a send-up of, or is I think an analysis of, is marriage and expectations and values, but in a hilarious, absurd setting. So as opposed to a marriage story where it's just like two people crying for 2 hours, I'm not interested in that. Here are these two people talking about their life and talking about cabbages with these very funny Eastern European on purpose stereotypes chasing them throughout this country.
I gotta see it.
And then Dave Franco plays, like, I will say, if you're interested in seeing most of Dave Franco's body, most, because there's no full frontal nudity, also a spicy moment of this. But I thought it was also a fantastic.
All right, I can't wait to see it. I'm sure it'll be released somewhere.
And then, last but not least, my Sundance app, like, I ran out of time because you have like a deadline. But I started watching Sunfish, which stars the amazing Jim Kaplan, who was in Floaters. He was incredible in Floaters. Started watching that with my daughter. And it really is like a beautiful series of stories taking place in the summer, I guess. But I didn't get to finish watching it. So,
all right.
Really good.
Those are some good reviews.
And it got a teenage, ennui-filled
thumbs up
daughter into it. She was
all
like,
right.
I want to finish watching this. So that's we did the food, we did the weather.
Did the movies.
We did the movies. Also, shout out to University of Arizona, our favorite film school. We hung out with them. Brilliant students there. We got to talk to. Beck, what about you? What have you been watching? I just reviewed.
So, I mean, it's, another piece of Sundance that we had to travel all the way there and all the way back, which gave a nice chunk of time to dig into a new show. The show's been out for a minute, but I hadn't watched it yet, and I'm super into it now. It's called Interior Chinatown with Jimmy O Yang, Ronnie Chang. I don't really know who any of the other actors are. Those are the two biggest names. And it's EP'd, I think. Like, the first episode is directed by Taika Waititi. And it is so good and so bizarre, but not in his like typical what we do in the shadows kind of weird way. Different weird. More like I'm many episodes in, and I mostly think I understand what's going on in this world, but I'm also like can't be 100% sure. Like, the mystery of it is very...
I saw it over your shoulder on the plane. I forget what I was watching on the plane there, and it looks really cool. I gotta watch that.
It is obviously about the way that Asian people are represented in film and television. Like, it's a very meta show, and that's what it's talking about. But the actual mystery of the show of what's going on in this strange town is they keep really well hidden. Like, I think I know, but I don't know. Anyways, and the way that the show kind of operates, it's as if you're going in and out of a procedural cop show. So the scenes are sort of going in and out of as if you're inside of a procedural
Yeah,
talk
the
show.
way the like
And
look
then
of the
all of
show
a sudden,
changed, right?
And then all of a
'Cause I
sudden,
kept
the
thinking you were
lighting will
watching Law and
switch.
Order.
Right. So it'll be like in the middle of a scene, and the two cops will enter the scene, and you'll switch, and it's like you're inside their procedural show, and then they'll step off camera, and then the lighting switches, and then you're just kind of in the regular world, like you imagine, like the world, like the background world of this show.
I love when people do stuff like that. Like that's
Yeah.
the like, that is the
It's
classic, like,
really just smart and original and anyways, but I still have a few episodes left. And I do think you kind of just have to watch it in one shot because it's been a few days. It's been like a week since I've seen an episode now. I had to do more travel and watch other things, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, it's so complicated to keep track of what's going on with everyone. I hope I remember. So that I continue to be obsessed with The Pit. I'm like, the Pit for me is my ER where
you're
I'm
like,
living.
well, you've been to a lot of ERs, Becky.
I have. Thursdays at 9 p.m. new episodes drop, and I'm like sitting on my couch, and it's 8:56, and I'm like 4 more minutes till the new episode. It's like golden age of NBC for me with this show.
Are you excited to be called as a witness in the trial? Could you imagine you get called to that trial as to whether or not it's copying ER, and the witness stand is like you, Clooney,
It's
Juliana
like,
Margulies.
Yeah, and me, and be like, and number one super fan, Becky Corman. You know what? I will tell you, while it is, the reason that it's not a reboot is because it's doing what The Bear does, which is making it feel like this is the most realistic hospital show we've ever seen. The Bear is the most realistic chef or kitchen show we've ever seen. So it's doing it really, really differently in that way. It's less of a soap opera and more of like a real, but it's a drama. You're doing all like the character driven drama stuff, but it's really supposed to be rooted in this hyper realistic world.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool.
And I think one of the things it's really speaking truly of is that like a lot of these doctors are kind of jerks, but they're really good doctors. And some of them are very, very nice people. Some of them are very, very nice people and also very good doctors. But, it is definitely.
Those are two great picks. Okay. I have I have one more that I've seen recently, two more that I've seen recently, and then we're going to wrap on a movie experience we both had.
Oh, boy.
We're not always nice. So first of all, I saw Sex Ed with Haley Joel Osment, directed by Isaac Feeder, who is a friend, but it's about 10 years old, and it's about a celibate or virgin teacher who ends up teaching kids at an after-school program about sex ed because he thinks they really need to know it. And so it's a comedy, but it's a comedy with a lot of heart, and it has Retta in it as well. And it has Glenn Powell before anybody knew who Glenn Powell was. And Isaac and him worked brilliantly together. And Glenn Powell is, I thought, he'll be in it for a couple of minutes. No, he's a great supporting character. And again, it's this mix of, he's the kind of like bro-y, very sexually active roommate best friend, but his character has tremendous heart in this movie. And it was really fun to watch. And for Allie, he is not wearing clothes for a number of parts.
I only had a chance to see the first few minutes so far on it, but I was like, I am in. You have my buy.
This movie is Allie's algorithm because it's extremely responsible representation of clear information about sex ed and positive relationships matched with naked Glenn Powell.
Yes, correct. And anything, yes, and then to top it off with naked Glenn Powell, I mean, that's it. You're just doing it right.
So hats off to Isaac. I'm so glad we got a chance to see it. And then you and I love going to the movies with my nieces. Your daughters, I love going with my daughters. Your daughters have been born into watching movies. And and you've worked so hard, and I think this is a family thing. You got to train your kids to watch movies these days.
You do.
The world is
have
working
to train
against them to work movies.
It is. It's working against them. And so any opportunity to get them to sit down and watch a feature film from start to finish, I'll always take that as a win, even if the experience itself is not.
So we went to see Dogman, which appears to be a huge hit, and I'm very happy for these folks. And it's from the people who made Captain Underpants, which is one of my favorite.
And it's true to the comic book. To the graphic novel. It is true.
I think one of my mistakes was I had no idea what the comic was about.
Right.
I thought it was going to be just like Captain Underpants, but it's really like the stories that the two kids from Captain Underpants write.
That's what Dogman is. I believe Dogman is a spin-off of one of their comic books that they write, that the Captain Underpants kids write.
In that sense, it 1,000% delivers on its promise. Mm-hmm. And Pete Davidson, who plays Pete the Cat, who is actually the main character, so I was very confused, because Dogman just barks for most of the movie. Pete Davidson gave, they should start giving out best, voice actor performances.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He was fantastic with that character.
But the movie is on, cocaine. It's an insane experience. I don't know how else to describe it. At a certain point, each of the adults just had to power down our brains, and each of us we took naps. I took a nap not so much because I was tired, but because I was so overstimulated. I was and I'm shutting down.
Well, I didn't know you guys took naps, so I fell asleep and I felt bad. Oh, it's me. I'm coming with the nieces and you guys and everything.
No.
And then I turned to Vlad, and the first thing he said afterwards was, "Ooh, I got a great nap during."
We just sort of had to shut down. But I will say the best part of the movie for me was watching my girls crawl into your lap and snuggle up with you for the last 15 minutes.
They spent the last 15 minutes of the movie just First one of them crawled over.
I think it was Miri.
Miri?
Yeah.
Miri crawled over, and then Sunny was like, "Can I come too?" Or she said, "I want to sit in your lap." And I said, "I got room for both of you because you're so teeny."
They're so big.
Curled up. And so, movie, I can't tell you what happened other than, the cat gives his son to the dog to raise. I don't really know what happened there.
But it's also his clone. And then Dad comes back.
That might have been the part I napped through. So I woke up and there was a baby cat.
Then he needs to reconcile with his dad to learn how to care for his son, but also the movie is on cocaine because it's so loud and fast-paced.
There's so much
overstimulation.
But great nap, great quality time with your family. And I mean, when you think about the founding of this podcast was founded because we went to the movies together. And we miss Lily every time. I miss Lily every time I sit in the movie theater.
But Lily saw Dogman also over the weekend.
She saw it,
she saw it she and I were having a really funny text exchange because it was 11 p.m. or midnight Canary Island time. And she's like, "Oh, we're just getting back from Dogman." And I'm like, "What? With your, you went that late?" She's like, "Well, we went to a late movie and then we went to the park, we got food and blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "Yeah, we went to a later screening because, the mom's out here. They wouldn't, why would you go to an early screening?" And I'm like, "Oh, I went to the 3 o'clock because the 6 o'clock was too late. We can't, that would be a late."
And we napped in it.
And we napped, right. So very, very different lifestyles.
Yeah, and Lily, I did say to Lily, I'm like, "I don't understand what happened in that movie," and she's like, "And imagine that we saw it in Spanish." I think her main review is not Sonic 3.
Not Sonic 3. Sonic 3, man.
And the Grammys, by the way, which my kids watched. Again, I'm in a different phase of parenthood. My kids were like, "We want to watch the Grammys." And so we watched the Grammys. It's actually a really good Grammys, and I have to say, this Grammys was so well produced and the performances were so fantastic. It was actually what, not the Grammys, but a music show should be about, right? Because who cares who wins these awards? This is an opportunity.
People are very invested in Beyonce winning.
Well, no, Beyonce winning is great. There's a whole cultural studies thing about that we could be doing. Beyonce winning was great. But the performances were so fantastic. At the first, I was like, "Kids, you know what you're doing now? You're watching a live concert," because I always want to watch live concerts. Shut up, Dad. And then they couldn't stop watching. But I had no idea who Shabuzi was. And you know what? Shabuzi is really good. What's a
Shabuzi?
Shabuzi's this tall, really wonderful singer who has a song about getting drunk in a bar, but it's great. It's great. So Shabuzi was a was a real highlight. Was a big highlight for me. And so that's what's cooking. Okay, we round our way back to music, not necessarily Grammy winning, but Grammy winning in our hearts. At the end of this episode, listen to the 2025 version of a song written 20 plus years ago, but a perfect winter song, a perfect song for as you pull out your stuff and you're about to go play in the snow. You ask yourself the eternal question. You ask yourself the eternal question. Where are my snow pants?
Where are my snow pants?
Where are my snow
pants?
Sing along. And so Beck, this is a lot of fun. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Circadian beer, she drinks Canadian. She can walk barefoot on coals. She dances with a hula hoop, travels with a circus troupe, gambles for candies and souls. A little scared of water, one time when it caught her, wouldn't let her go for a week. Despite her paranoia, under a sequoia, she likes to lather her feet. Suspended animation and all of its frustration. The lamppost is stuck to my mouth. All this filial piety giving me anxiety. Kinda glad I'm heading south. Conflict is endemic, analysis systemic. Here's a shot of her in Iran. Notion of a nation, moment of elation. Then I'm back to where I began.
listening to Friday Night Movie, the sibling rivalry and pop culture podcast. Join the Friday Night Movie family by following @FryNightMovie on all of the socials and visiting our website, FryNightMovie.com. Our theme song is by What Does It Eat? And make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.